All right, guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Friday, July 1st. This is a one-on-one mentoring session with Ross. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this mentoring session real quick, and then we will get started. You guys are free to sit in and watch, but this session is going to be strictly between me and Ross. So basically, whatever Ross needs help with, we'll go over. But if you guys want to just sit in and maybe you guys might have the same questions, this might be beneficial to a good handful of you guys. So let me just get this set up right here. Looks good. Get this link sent over to Ross. Hey Ross, can you hear me? Just want to make sure that this is working. I think your mic is muted. If you want to unmute yourself, you're more than welcome. If you want to type, we can do that as well. So it's up to you, however you want to proceed with this mentoring session. But yeah, looks like you're in here. Let's see if I miss anything. Hey Ross, did you hear me? Okay, gotcha. No problem. Yeah, go ahead and switch your computer if you like. I'll just wait for you whenever you're ready. Let's see, US 30. What a bullish push, right? Good thing we cut off at 8. If you guys see here, see, you can see the market started to move kind of funky. If you guys remembered at 8 o'clock, I cut off and I said, you guys should probably just call it a day. Hopefully, a lot of you guys did, because you guys can see market completely reversed. So it's a good idea that we closed off on that.
Can you hear me?
Hey Ross, how's it going? I can hear you perfect. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. Yes, I have another computer that's a lot faster. Computer has been giving me some trouble with my speaking, so I've got to get that fixed somehow. But this will work. This is a laptop. It'll work.
Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, you don't need too much power for this anyway. It's just a session with us, so I think we should be good.
Hey, it's great talking with you, man. You've changed my life in the last. So I joined about 20 days ago, I think, or something.
Yeah, a little less than a month.
Watched the YouTube for probably 6 months before that. Messed around, and I really like what I see. Thank you. You're really awesome. To start, that's a good way to start, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm glad, there's a lot of people who communicate to and they learn from other places. And it's, trading, it really depends on like the person because everyone trades differently. And if like my concept and strategies work well for you, then great. Because I try to make it as simple as possible. Because really, I feel like trading, people make it a lot more complicated than it really is. And you kind of just have to simplify things.
Yeah, I agree. I tried the US 30 with several other different programs and had some pretty, okay success, but it wasn't where I really wanted it to be.
Mhm.
So this is the good go between. So I thought maybe today, here's an example, like a few questions I may have. So today you were saying, so here's a buy signal. And so I want to explain to you what I think that means, and then maybe you can just train me on, like, I know nothing about your signals, basically. I mean, I do know something about your signals, but my thing is I don't understand them good enough. So what happened was is a green bar came up and it had a green bar inside of it, right? Of course, because it turned green. So that was the buy line here, you
Yes.
know, the signal. And this morning you said, well, there's our signal, but it didn't have a flat top, so it had a wick, and so we didn't actually use it. But I'm trying to figure out how that's is that a buy signal? And then on some of the indicators or some of the like the B2s and stuff, it's the next the pending one. So I just want to kind of go through, like, I don't know anything about these signals, kind of go through a quick brush up on, I mean, high low kind of makes sense, but how they're used doesn't necessarily make sense, except for drawing. I draw a lot of the resistance, so
Gotcha.
support and resistance and the your liquidity points with those. So that's where I'm at with that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So with that question, are you talking about the breakout that happened this morning? I think you might have been talking about it.
I don't remember. No, it wasn't the breakout. It was just, yes, it was. Well, the breakout was kind of hairy this morning,
Oh
actually.
yeah. Yeah, it was. It was really, really tricky. So I'm glad we kind of sat out on it, because I think it would have been possibly this red candle here. We looked at it and I was like, this doesn't look good at all. So I decided not to take it, thankfully, because it went complete opposite.
Yeah, yeah, I was in it, and I got out with a small loss, and then for the rest of the day, I did pretty good. I had two losses today, and I was up 2,500 at the end of the day, so I was good. I
Nice.
have a 200,000 FTMO.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, as long as you close the day in profit, that's the real key, right? It's like staying net positive as many days as you can within the month, so that you can, if you haven't passed yet, you'd probably be able to pass within X amount of good green days.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but going back to your question here, so I'll go over what a valid signal is. So this right here would be, or I'll just rewind so it's clear. This would be considered a valid uh, momentum signal for a buy, basically just indicating that momentum is swinging to the upside. A signal is valid when it is a buy signal, meaning a green vertical line here with a green candle within it. So this would be an example of a valid buy momentum signal. And then vice versa, this would be a valid momentum sell signal. So you'll have, the opposite red vertical line with a red candle within it. This will confirm that it is a valid momentum. This doesn't necessarily mean to enter the trade, but this just gives you an understanding as to where price is going during that period. This is probably a bad example because this was on open. So obviously you have a lot of manipulation there. But if we go over to something where, let's see, price is moving smoother. So price is moving a lot smoother right here. And we'll just use this as an example. So using this green buy signal, you can see that momentum is swinging to the upside after this candle has closed. This is in the direction of the momentum. So this is a clean example as to when you get a momentum in the direction of bias or trend, and price continues to push in that direction. Vice versa, if you get an opposite signal like this, a red signal, but the trend is very strong to the upside, you can see it's not necessarily meaning that there's a shift in direction, but more so that it's just retracing or pulling back to some extent. Does that make sense to you?
it does. And so where I've kind of been able to pull a little bit of success, and of course I'm just getting started here, a couple weeks. Where I've gotten the limited success I've enjoyed, it's from the flat, so no wick, green candle, no wick, just like that first one you showed me, or a
Yes.
red candle with no wick on the bottom. So it's continuing to move in that direction, but it's not pulling back. If I buy after that, I've had some, pretty limited success. It's not been quite as great as I hoped it was, but
Yeah.
I've been buying after that fairly successfully. And of course, all the V's have worked. V1, V2, V3 for me that I've been able to kind of decipher myself. They're a little complicated for me, a couple of them, but I've watched enough now that I'm starting to get those. So we'll review those in a minute. But
Yeah.
it looks like that flat candle there, that first green one you pointed to, where it was pulling up and it never pulled back at all.
Yeah.
That to me looks like a little bit better buy signal than if it has a wick on top.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, typically when you're seeing a momentum signal like that, that typically indicates. And if you're another confluence you can use is, if it's above the pivots, it'll indicate that price is trending to the upside. Also with the trend meter, there's like a lot of different confluences you can add to it. But using that as as I guess a baseline, understanding where a good push is going to occur, I do agree with that, because it just indicates that this candle here is a very strong candle. It has a small wick on top, but not very strong. I mean, it's not very big, so it
Yeah.
does indicate, a strong push, because you can see from the bottom of the candle here, it had a strong push to the upside, little to no resistance on the top right here, and then you can kind of anticipate that price is going to push up. Using these other tools here as an extra confluence, I'm sure you understand when you see like the trend meter green, this indicates that the trend is pushing to the upside. And then when price is above the pivots and they're starting to spread out like they are right here, this will indicate that it's in a strong trend to the upside as well. So if you tie those together, using this as a baseline, a strong momentum signal, plus the trend indicating that price is going to continue, odds are it's probably going to push up higher, just like you said.
Yes. So let's talk about the pivots slightly here.
Okay.
So I understand the green vertical line, the green bar at the bottom, and I hope I've got everything loaded right, because I just went right off of like all the videos. I've been just loading them.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of confusing when you watch like multiple strategies at once, because they all kind of identify something similar but something different. So like sometimes I'll see people jumble them together, like this strategy with this strategy, and they start to mix up the requirements. But a lot of them align with each other. So like, for example, with this right here that you were just looking at, this would be considered a pivot scalp entry, right? Because if you look at the pivot scalp strategy, let's see, pivot scalp strategy right here, you're confirming the overall bias. I don't know what the bias was at this time. Bias might have shifted at this period, but just ignoring that and assuming that it was bullish. For the first requirement, you want to confirm a valid K2 momentum signal. That's what we discussed earlier. It's a green signal with a green candle within it. That's going to be requirement number two. Requirement number three is you want to confirm price is above for a buy and below for a sell. Pivots 3 and 4, which is this orange and red pivot. So for this right here, this is going to indicate a pivot scalp entry. But on top of that, you've also have this align with the intraday momentum as well. You have a valid K2 momentum signal, and you're confirming the trend meter matching. So you'll have the trend meter down here, which is green, the valid buy signal right here, and this aligns for an entry for two different strategies off one candle.
So let me just say what I just heard, I think. So pivot 3 and 4, it needs to be the price is below K2 pivots 3 and 4, but that's above, isn't it, the price?
Yeah, so if you read it completely, the first part is for a sell, and then after or above for a buy.
Oh, above for a buy. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't get to the end of that sentence.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I was a little confused, because I was like, wait a minute, that's definitely not happening. So yeah, anytime those have been above the pivots, I've had fairly good success with that as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, all of these tools are like, I created these tools in conjunction with each other. Basically, they were like they were to build off the original strategy. The original strategy was just the intraday strategy. This used to be like the only strategy I used to apply. And over time, I realized that market conditions would change, and that's why I started creating more tools to help with increasing my probability of winning. So, for example, right here, this strategy used to not have the pivots. It was just like this. So you match these two, and you're like, okay, good entry right there. And then, I started to realize, when I would lose trades, I'm like, okay, what else can I add here to increase my probability? That's when I created the pivots indicator. And one thing with the pivots indicator that I've noticed a lot myself is that when pivots are spread out, and you can kind of see them, I can actually close the candles here. When you see that these pivots begin to spread out, let me just delete, or I'll show you right here. You can see they start to spread out right here. You had a buy signal and it matches. I know you don't see the candles, but with candles there, you can see that this would actually align as a really good entry point, because momentum would start to spread out. So for the pivots here, like you said, you have a lot of luck with it. I think the best time you'd have the best luck with it is when they start to spread out. So like, for example, here, they crossed over previously and they started to spread out. You have that buy signal and start to push up very heavily. Same with this entry over here. Price was crossing over with these pivots, but as soon as they started to spread out right here, you could see that a continuation to the upside followed with it. So if I turn the candles back on, you can see that this buy signal would have been a pretty great entry. Same with this one right here, is already an uptrend. This one right here might have been some pullback, but this one over here that you also identified would have been a good entry. So,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to this one that may have lost here. So we had a buy signal back in the middle here.
Yes, this
right
one.
there. Yep.
Mhm.
So I see a huge difference in that the pivots were close and then they're far apart. Where that one they're far apart, like the green one is way up there, and the rest are sort of hanging low. I don't know if that really means anything, but I've tried to stay away from those as well. I like them spread out, but I like them starting to spread out. Or both these signals you're showing me, they're both starting to spread out. They're
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what I look for too, because I'm sure you've noticed a lot of the times when price is pushing up for a while, there's going to have to be some sort of retracement, right? You can't push it forever. And that's why I typically like to wait for it as well. So I like to wait for the pivots to kind of jumble over each other for a bit, and then they start to spread out because this is usually the initial start of a big push in the direction of your trade. With these right here, like this one looks like a good one, but I probably would have skipped it because it's been spread out for so long. I would have anticipated some sort of retracement to happen. And you can see at this point right here, this is where it actually started happening. So
yep.
yeah, so typically I don't like entering something when it's pushing up too far. That's another reason why I like to, you've seen like with the variations, typically if price is pushing too high, like during the live sessions, I will take a break. Like if it's overextended, I'll wait for a bit and I won't take the first or second entry. I'll wait for it to retrace for a bit and then I'll catch it as it continues back up. So
I'm glad I'm talking to you today because I tend to get into a little bit too many trades. I've learned, and you've taught me not to, and that's a good thing because I think I've just overtraded. I've been profitable every day. It's just that I can't stay in it. That's the
yeah, it's
And
the
I
same
see these
problem.
guys like Kevin throwing profits out there of 100 grand in a day, and I'm getting to 2,500, and I blow the whole 2,500 over the next three trades. It's like, when do you stop? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Everyone's a little different, and I'm sure you've seen that. Like Kevin's doing crazy, like he's doing crazy amazing. But the thing with Kevin's style of trading as well is that he doesn't typically use a stop loss, which is very dangerous. Uh, I don't recommend anyone do that because that's where Kevin he's a different type of beast. Like he can handle it, and he can understand when he's had his tipping point. But for a lot of people, if you don't use a stop loss and you don't know when to pull out, your account could go to zero really quickly.
Yeah, I went through a FTMO just based on that principle of trying it without a stop loss, and I actually looked away for a couple seconds, and one of my kids walked in the room, and I looked back, and I freaking had went past the like
the
what
daily.
2,000 a day or something on $20,000 count or something like that. It was
Oh,
crazy.
wow. Yeah, it happens way too fast. The thing with Kevin is he's using a personal account, I believe, so that he has the luxury of letting the trade run. But for FTMO, that's the one thing that I like about FTMO is that they force you to trade responsibly. Like you're not going to be letting your trades run forever, praying that it'll come back in your direction because sometimes it'll never come back in your direction.
Yeah, I've had that a few times. Yeah, absolutely. That's uh that's exactly right.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree.
Could you hold on? I have an emergency call. Just 1 second.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Take your time.
I wonder if I could mute this even.
Yeah, there's a mute button right there on the top of your Zoom.
Hello. Yes, hi. Hey, I so apologize. My vehicle broke down, and if I didn't okay that call, that service call, they wouldn't have been able to fix it for like 2 weeks. So it's an
Oh,
air
no
conditioning
way.
unit. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
busy, these shops nowadays. It's unreal. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no problem. No problem.
yeah, you were on a roll though. Could I give one, this isn't necessarily negative or anything, but so when I see your screen in the morning, I'm
Yeah.
using a pretty large thing and it's pretty gosh blurry. I wear these reading glasses I have on. And that
Uh-huh.
screen you just had a second ago, that thing was so clear, and so is this one right here. But in the morning, I can't tell when those things are going through those pivots and all that because mine's kind of blurry. Is there something I could do about that, or is it just how it's
Here.
coming?
Are you on, you're on the same computer though, right? Or are you different computer?
Um, okay, so this is a different computer because of the sound. Yeah, this is I can try it on a laptop one morning and just see where we're at, you know.
Yeah. I,
I,
I've
I mean,
I've heard that from other people too. Typically it's their screen resolution. I'm not sure if you might be able to go through Zoom. I don't know if it's through the Zoom settings or whatnot, but I know people who've had it before. They've either gotten a new monitor or they've changed their settings under Zoom, and it fixed it. It might be your streaming rate. So for this laptop, is this connected through Ethernet or is it Wi-Fi?
um, all the computers I'm using here are all they're all Wi-Fi. And
Okay.
I'm in Utah and I have the fastest speed I can get. And that's usually not, it's probably the screen because I just barely, in fact, Amazon just delivered me a screen today. I'm changing it.
Okay.
So I'll try that and I'll let you know. I think that could be it actually.
Yeah. No, definitely. Let me know because every time someone has had that same concern, they just bought a new monitor and it works out perfectly. I think it's
Oh, good.
typically the resolution on your monitor probably, where it just doesn't
Oh,
align with the Zoom.
yeah, it probably is because the one I was trying to do it on is super big, but it's not a high resolution. The one I'm getting is slightly smaller, but way higher resolution. So we'll see how that works.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, so these high lows, and I was texting you over the other day in the chat.
Yeah.
I think we approached that particular question, the first one, unless you had more you want to add. I kind of lost where we were after that dumb call, but man, if I wouldn't have got that, that would have been crazy.
I know.
Um, it's like this pandemic is so strange, man.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
They're so short staffed everywhere, especially the auto shops.
yeah, I called in and they said get it in Friday, we'll have it done, but they couldn't get the coverage to pay for it. So we're right here on these high lows. So a couple of those strategies, it says verify the high, verify the low, and I'm not sure what I'm actually verifying. I know what the high low is. I can see an H and an L,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure what I'm verifying.
Yeah, sure. Which strategy are you referring to? Typically, I just
Um,
or yeah, which
the
of the strategy we
V
typically.
V2, I think, or V3.
Okay. Oh yeah. Basically, for any of the V2s or V3s,
Yeah.
you're really just looking for the most recent high low. So I think that's a requirement that you're confirming that you're confused about is the confirm high low using K2 high low indicator. You're just confirming what the closest one is. Let me see if I could find one here, like any possible entry that we can use as an example. I guess we can use this as an example. I know we can't confirm what the bias is, but so typically if you were to look for a high low applying the V1, you would just be looking for the most recent high low. So you'd be looking at this as the high and you'll be looking at this as the low. I just put that down so that people understand that you're supposed to be confirming, either or. It's kind of difficult for me to put one where it says confirm the high or confirm the low because I just want to make it generic where you can look for both buys and sells. But typically, you're just looking for the most recent one. So, for example, if you're looking for a sell here off the variation strategy, then you would be looking the for the most recent high. Because in order for you to take a sell, you're going to look for the high. Vice versa, if you're looking for a buy, you're going to look for the low. So using this as an example right here, this is, say for example, this is the most recent candle. You're identifying this as a double body rejection. You have an entry there for a short. And then you could have, taken this for B1.
10 pips, yeah. So that high signal being before that bar, that doesn't matter where it shows up, just that there is one. Is that what we're saying? Or
Yes, that is correct. So for any of the variations, you're just looking for wherever the most recent high is. Technically, this strategy, the way that I apply it, because the high lows are pretty much, they're just common sense to me. It's like, if you're going to apply any of the variations, you have to look for the high low either way. I don't typically look for any specific high low. I kind of skip over that. And the main thing that I'm looking for is the third step here, the double body or double wick. So this is how I differentiate the version 1, version 2, version 3. So for the V1, I'm looking for the double body or double wick. I don't really pay attention to the high low because I already know, there's going to be a tab there or something like that to indicate which is the closest high or the closest low.
Okay.
So for the V1, main thing I look for is the third step, because this is what differentiates them. For the V2, I'm looking for a strong candle. This comes up not as often, so you're barely going to find this when looking for these entries here for the V2. But for this, you're confirming step 4. So main step for V1 would be the double wick or double body. For the V2, you're mainly looking for a strong candle following basically a rejection. I'll show you an example if I could find one, but I rarely see those. They don't come up very often. Yeah, I don't see.
Yeah, and I think every V2 I've ever taken has been a win.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think there's been very many. I think you've told
yeah,
them to me all. I think there's only been
exactly.
like one.
Yeah, typically the V2s, I think the V2 would probably be one of the more accurate strategies. I feel like the V1 would probably be the least accurate, and the V3 would be in the middle. The V2 barely comes up. The V1 comes up almost all the time. It does hit more often than not, but you're going to have some losers with this strategy here. So, in the order of accuracy, V2 would probably be number 1. V3 comes up often, but it's very hard to find it where you have the minimum stop loss requirement, right? So for this V3, this is going to be the main thing here because it's basically a V2 without the strong candle. You're just looking for a rejection. I can see if I can find one here, but I don't think I see any.
V2 is kind of that confirmed high as the strong candle is interesting. Yeah.
Oh, for the V2 you're saying?
Well, the one you're on, the confirmed the candle following is a strong candle, no wick. So so if it's gone up and it's hit a high, it should and it doesn't wick. You're saying that would be the sell there, right? After the pending, or so that's where I'm confused. The V2 one. Okay, so let me just read the yeah, confirm the high is a green and the lows are red. Confirm the candle following the high-low indicator is a strong candle with no wick. Okay, confirm the pending momentum. So we're still taking, in this case, let's assume that wick isn't there on that high-low, that HH there on the left of that red line, the high, I guess that is. Assuming there's no wick, that would be a V2 right there.
Yes. So say, for example, this wick, if there's no wick there and this was the actual high, the previous candle right here.
Yep.
And this was just a body, then yes, this would be a V2. So like you have the high here, say that there was no wick on that and it was just, or a small wick, but this bottom of the red candle has no wick, then this would indicate that it was a strong candle. The reason why it's a strong candle is the same reason we were discussing earlier. So like how you mentioned before, if you have a buy signal and there's like no wick on top, there's like no resistance, so price just continues to push up higher. Same situation with this right here. If there was a sell signal here with no wick, with no body, then, or no wick on the body, then you would expect it to continue pushing in that direction as well. It's basically a reversal pattern.
So you wouldn't take it on that green candle, assuming there was no wick on top. You would take it after that red candle.
Yeah, let me see if I can find an example for you here.
Yeah, because I've got a lot better understanding of it now. I'm really a visual person, so thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's easier that way as well for me because it just takes out the guesswork.
Yeah,
if I could find one here.
Yeah, it's almost like these things, you see them and you're like, I can find that again, and then you start scrolling and it's like, man.
Yeah, like realistically, it doesn't come up as often as you might think. And these variations just change because when we had the first variation, I started to see more patterns. Like a lot of these patterns I don't really think about until I actually put rules to it. And that's where I can start to really build off. But they really don't come up as often. Let me see if I can find one.
Yeah, there wasn't any that I could see there.
Yeah, the main problem with this here too is that we don't have an idea what the bias, because I know the bias was a sell this morning initially right here, and then it started to shift when we got off the live. So it was a sell pretty much all morning, and then once we got off at 8 o'clock, price started shifting the other way. So I'm not sure what the overall bias was, but I'll see if we could find one example of the V2.
I don't think the overall bias on the sentiment ever changed today. It was about 60 to 59 every time I ever looked at it, but
Gotcha.
it was clearly turning around. It was turning around through the night. So I was watching it, 4 a.m. or something when I got up. I was looked at the pre, and it was starting to turn positive then, and it turned almost positive. It went from like 200 down to 60 down, and then it went negative, and then we traded on negative most of the day, but or net down, I mean, most of the day, and then it flipped, yeah, and then it ended, of course, high today, 200
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy market today, and it was kind of anticipated because we are going to this long weekend, plus the like typically the first of the month. This is I don't know if you've traded options before, but this is like typically when the new option contracts reopen because they're usually on a monthly. So like they'll close at the end of the month. You'll get manipulation on the last day of the month, and then manipulation on the initial day or the first day of the month because that's when the new contracts open. So I mean, everything affects everything else. So like it's not just US 30, but like the options market affects the stock market, which affects the futures market, which affects pretty much everything. So I try to be as careful as possible.
Yeah, I
So
was very careful today, and I still had a couple pretty hairy losses to start out. That market was just,
oh
well,
yeah,
of course, that first trade went against me, and that was okay. I got out early. I could see it, I could see it, and I actually I killed early. It didn't
yeah,
hit.
yeah. I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people. It's really the discipline and being able to stay out of the market when the market is crazy. Because when you see the market move really fast, it kind of tempts you to like take a trade because it seems like you can catch like that little push there, but realistically, a price can easily reverse on you at the last moment. But here's an example. This isn't exactly going to be a V2, but I just wanted to show you how it would look if it did apply. So here's one right here. The reason why this would not be a V2 is because we don't have a pending momentum in the direction of the trade. We have a sell signal here already. And I know you had that question earlier. In order to have a pending momentum, you're basically looking for, so say if you're looking for a sell here, you want to have a green momentum before it, because that will indicate that the next momentum is going to be in your direction, if that makes sense to you. So you can see,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah. So pending means, so it's red now. The next one has to be green. It'll just go on until it turns green. It's going to be agreement. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why you want a pending momentum is because typically for a lot of these strategies, we're only going for about 100 pips. It's a quick move. So if you have a pending momentum, typically when you have a momentum signal, it's going to push somewhere near that price range. So like say for example, you took an entry up here and your entry was at this point right here. As soon as you get that momentum signal, it'll push right through and hit your TP. So it's kind of giving you that extra confidence boost that when this momentum signal does come, which will typically come if you're trading in the direction of a bias, it's going to automatically just push you right into your profit target, so you can get out of that trade. When you don't have a pending momentum, that's where it gets kind of tricky, because you might be entering too late to the point where price will be retracing or reversing. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So this is an example of a V2 right here. Not a valid V2, but just an example of the candle that we're looking for. So for the strategy here, we're going to assume that the bias was bearish. We can't confirm now because this was previously this morning during pre-market, but we're just going to assume it was bearish. I believe it was bearish though, because I remember looking this morning as well when I woke up, and it was like 60% short, and then the fundamentals were down like 100 points or so. So
Yep.
yeah, you're just using that, using this as an example. We'll say that it was bearish. So for the first requirement, we confirm the overall bias is bearish. Second, that this is the same thing we discussed earlier, confirm the high low. So since you're looking for a sell here and you know that the bias is a sell, you don't typically need to identify what the low is, because you're not looking for buys, you're looking for sells. So just looking at this right here, this is the most recent high. And the way that the strategy works is that this is basically a reversal pattern. So we have the first requirement there. Bias is a sell, so we're only looking for sells. We're looking for the most nearest high, which would be right here. And the reason why I call this a reversal pattern is because price is going down. and this is a retracement. So what you're looking for is a reversal from the retracement and a continuation back to the downside, because this is where you're typically anticipating price to go. So with that said, we have requirements 1 and 2 met. For the third requirement, you want to confirm that the high is a green candle. That's the reversal that we're looking for at this point here. And for the fourth requirement, this is one that we were discussing earlier. You're looking for a strong red candle. So this is a strong red candle because there is no wick on the bottom. So there's basically no support here that's been touched. So we're expecting it to continue dropping even lower from this point. So once you have that set up right there, that would be your entry. So if you were to take a sell right here, you enter this for a short, you're going for about 100 pips. Stop loss is set, you let this run, and there you go, full TP. So, but this wouldn't be a valid entry because of the pending momentum that we just discussed. If there was a pending momentum, then yeah, it'd be a perfect entry. But for this one right here specifically, no pending momentum.
So to make this clear, so I understand it, if this was a green instead of this red, it would be an exact V2.
Exactly. Like say, for example, there was a, this rectangle tool here. So say, for example, there was not a red candle, but say there was a green momentum, like say like right here, you know, like right before it. If there was a green momentum right here, then the pending signal would be a sell, and it would be okay to take this trade here.
Okay.
But since there wasn't, then you wouldn't take it. I've seen people take it anyways. You know, if you feel like the need to take the trade, and I see a lot of people skip steps all the time, which I never recommend you do. But the thing with this strategy is that previously we didn't have that requirement there. So the requirements that I added onto this after it was created was the first requirement here, the overall bias and the pending momentum. We didn't have this before, but what happened was when we were applying the strategy, we would run into losses, and we would basically document it and wonder, you know, what could we have done differently to avoid those losses? And it was mainly this, the pending momentum and the overall bias. So what we did is we just added these two requirements to increase the win rate, to increase the probability, because obviously, you know, if you're taking 1 or 2 trades a day, you're really looking for those high quality trades. You don't, I mean, you can take like 10, 20, 50 trades a day if you really want to, because they do come up very often if you take off these requirements. But if you're looking for, you know, the highest quality trades, once you add these requirements, the odds of the trade hitting are very likely.
Yeah, my feedback on that, or my you say it all the time. You know, yeah, show me a pattern, but give me a reason to take it. And I can see a lot of reasons to take a lot of trades, but since I've joined you, I'm taking way less and I'm having way more success.
Yeah, that's the key with a lot of people, and myself as well. You know, like a lot of people who've traded and haven't found consistency, a lot of the times it's because they're taking too many trades. They're over trading and they're revenge trading. It's like if you don't have a set set rules to take a trade, you can literally take any trade here and you might get lucky, you know, X amount of times until you don't get lucky and you're like confused why you lost it. But for me, whenever someone loses a trade, I'm like, okay, let me go over what you went. And usually if we go over all the requirements, there's usually a step that's skipped there most of the time. So, you know, I try to make it as simple as possible, but I try to keep it mechanical as well, because that's how you get good as a trader. You're never going to really be very consistent unless you're able to trade mechanically, where you don't have emotion, right? You're just checking off the list. This happens, this happens, this happens. You take the trade. If you lose a trade, it's fine, because you're going to lose trades here and there, but at least you know why you lost it.
Yeah, I really like that, and that's what's changed, you know, with me joining you. Of course, better signals too, I think, or indicators. I'm not even sure what you call these. I call them signals, indicators. I call them both. But you know, it looks like to me it's an indicator more than a signal. But when it's in the bar, it's a signal. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I get the same thing sometimes too. Like, so that's why I keep calling them something different. Sometimes I'll call them, you know, buy or sell signals. Sometimes I'll call them momentum signals. They mean the same thing, but it just really depends on the person. But for me personally, you know, I never use these as just a one and done type thing. I like to tie these with other indicators or other strategies and stuff like that, just to increase the the probability of winning and your confidence in the trade. Because that's really what it is. It's really all about your trade psychology. If you can trust the trade and you know it's going to go, it makes all the difference with your outcome. Because I've seen a lot of people who take trades and they pull out early or they pull out late, or there's always something mental that holds them from finding success.
Yeah. So today you were talking about that. So I've got down my morning, 1 hour trading with you, trading room, or 1 hour and a half, I think it is.
Yeah.
Start at 6:30, end at 8. And that's been extremely fun and everything. What I'd like to do after that would be, I don't want to keep taking trades. So I want to find a strategy where I can stick a trade in and then just check it later in the day. And you were talking about that strategy this morning. It looked really interesting. I was really unclear as to what we were really doing with that. And I don't know if I was distracted or whether it was just, there was some kind of banter going on with Kevin or with somebody.
Kurt, yeah.
Kurt, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of got into that a little bit. It was almost like comical for me because it sounds just like some of the people I work with. I mean, I love the guy. Don't no ill. If he's a trader, we love the guy, right? But it's still just like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah, no, same here. Like I know, I know everybody in the group and I know who has trouble with what. And when I know someone isn't ready to move on to the next thing, I typically want them to stick to what they're already doing. Because when you try to learn too many things, it's like that whole jack of all trades saying, like you can be the jack of all trades, but be the master of none. I prefer somebody to be a master of something rather than having like bits and pieces of different strategies and not really mastering anything.
Yeah. And I used to be a 1 hour, 4 hour only guy. And, it worked pretty good for a few years for me, but man, I never found the kind of success I found here. And it was weird because you'd get into some and it was, days. I mean, dude, I was in trades for almost a week sometimes. And it wasn't this particular, instrument either. It was, like the US, GDP or whatever, it was some, GP,
FOREX, yeah.
It was something, but we tried it on all things. But yeah, an intermediate day on a 15-minute chart is what I'd like to maybe spend a little bit of time on, if that's okay with you, or if you've got something else that you think that maybe I could learn better. I'm here. I like the program. I think this is probably towards the top of anything I've ever tried, especially with the people you've got. You're kind of bringing them along, and I like that attitude. So thank you. But yeah, if we can spend some time on that intermediate strat, or if we want to spend time on whatever you feel.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I just yes, I actually just thought about that strategy last night. I was like just kind of thinking of some, because I like US 30. I do trade Forex every now and then. I don't know if you look at the intraday strategy that
I've been trying to learn it.
Yeah, that works well too. But the thing with these Forex pairs is that when there's news, a lot of people say the news doesn't affect the market, but realistically it does, in my opinion. So like you'll take these trades here. Like for example, I had this that was marked up. I didn't take the trade, but the main reason I didn't take it is because I did see that there was news coming up down here. I'll notice that whenever I'm in a good trade, it'll, when the news comes around, it usually screws up my trade. So I typically will pull out before it gets to that point, just to avoid getting caught in reversal or whatnot. But if you want to keep trading US 30, that strategy that I was showing you guys today, I found it to hit very well. So let me see if I can find the requirements here. I think I posted it in our admin group. I was running it by our admins to see if they wanted to back test it.
Yeah, and I'll back test it too on a demo or something. I'm a little, if I have good success in the morning, I don't even want to really trade after that. But if it's something where I can get it to where it's 80% or so, I would take it and do one trade a day. On top of everything else, go do something the rest of the day and check it at the end of the day, kind of thing is how I would do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
you put a stop loss in and just go for it.
Yeah, just let it run. I prefer to trade US 30. I just like US 30 in general, like overall as a.
Oh, I do too.
I feel like
it moves.
It moves a lot.
It moves well. Yeah, it moves well, and it's something that some of us have some understanding of, kind of like the general market. I've been playing with the market for probably 20 years, and I have some understanding of what this is all about. And basically, if you just understand it's all manipulation, it's all BS. You just trade, like you said, no emotion. You're never going to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like scalping, because we're like literally fishing. We're fishing for that perfect fish, and we just take one catch or two catches and we're done for the day. It's not like where you're holding a trade for an entire day and then you're in profit, you come back an hour later and you're close to your stop loss. And that's like the worst feeling, I feel. Because you'll feel good when you're in profit. You'll go away for a bit, come back, and you're like, what the heck? Like, if I would have just pulled out earlier with some profit, it would have been great. And I feel like
or
oh, go ahead.
or it goes through the profit and you're already out and you're just like going, man, I was in profit like a grand and now I'm down two, you know, it's like because it's
Oh
2 to 1
yeah,
or something.
yeah. It's frustrating. It's super frustrating. But yeah, back to this 15-minute strategy right here. Let me see if I could find an example for you. This is like the draft requirements. I haven't really looked at it. I just basically put this together last night when I was going over it with some of the admins. But let me see if I could find an example here. This strategy doesn't come up very often, but when it does come up, let's just go to like a random date. I think this is the best way to show you an example because there's no bias here. I can just like pull something up and we'll see if it actually works. So
Yeah.
here we are right here. This is June 9th. Let me see if I can find one of the entries here.
Yeah. So identify unbroken K2 high low using high low indicator. I'm not sure what unbroken means.
Yeah, so let me find an example here and I'll show you. So unbroken would mean,
It
oh
hasn't gone through it, I think, right?
yeah, exactly. It hasn't gone through it. It can test it, but not go through it. So here's an example of a broken high low. So this would be broken because it's been passed already. This is an example of it being broken. Let me show you an example, another example of it being unbroken, but it being tested. So let's see. So here's another example of it being broken. I just want to make sure that you see that it's when the candle does break past it and close, or it can even be a candle that breaks past it. And actually, that's not a good example right here. An example where the candle does go through it, but it doesn't actually close past it. So this right here, you can see the wick come through the candle right there. And this would actually be considered broken, right? It'll be broken. So it doesn't fit that requirement.
Yep.
Let's see if I can find one here.
Yeah, it's hard going back, especially when you're in limited time. Just take your time. I'm totally fine with just, getting a chance to chat with you,
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I wish I could have the actual room open like this, but it becomes chaos with so many people in the group and everyone's mic running. It's just it's insanity. So I can't keep the mic open like this and talk to everyone. We used to have it like that before, but it would just get too crazy in the
We might have had a brawl today with Kurt.
Oh, I know. Yeah, man, funny guy. Great guy, but he wants to achieve so much in so little time. It's just it just
Yeah.
makes it a bit difficult.
Well, I've trained people to do a lot of different things in sales mostly, and I
Uh-huh.
tell them you got to start at the bottom. You're never going to walk into a company, start middle of the ladder. You got to start at the bottom of the ladder, and you got to really learn it because it shows. If you don't know and you're not taking the time, it shows. People
Oh
know.
yeah, definitely, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Let's see, go back a little further. And this for this strategy, this is good that you're going to possibly help back test it because when you find
Yeah, I want
issues, yeah, if you find issues with it, you can run the issues by me, and then I'll find ways around it. Like I've been training for so long that like I'm able to adapt with the market. So like depending on the conditions, like right now for this strategy, we don't have the bias requirement on here. So maybe that's something that we could include in the future, but
yeah.
it's not necessarily included yet. Because what I like to do is when we take strategies like this, I like to have a baseline and I like to see how accurate it is, and then we'll determine whether we need to make changes, include other requirements to increase the win rate. Because realistically, what I'm looking for most of the time is a very high win rate strategy, and that's usually what's going to be what's the word?
Yeah, and if it's not a good win rate, we back test it and we just say no. If it is, we use it. That's how it works.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the only time I'll really introduce a strategy to you guys is if I really back tested it far enough where I know for sure it will work. So
Yeah, I would take a couple of these and just a demo, over the few weeks coming up and just see where it lies. It's it's a little unclear as to, exactly what we're looking for, and probably hard to find in a time frame like we're talking, a little time crunch and everything. But if we can find one that's good, the
Yeah,
the
no,
one you had this morning was pretty good that you were showing, I think, but that's all clear over. We're on like the 9th or something here. I mean, no, we're today
yeah, I forgot
or yesterday.
what time or day
Oh no, we're in May. Oh,
we're
that
in.
was
Yeah,
May.
yeah, yeah, because I kind of pulled it back to like a random time period. I don't think there was
Yeah.
much there. Let me see if there is. So basically, what I'm looking for here. Let me just go back a little further. What I'm looking for here, the first step is really. I know I kind of put these in a weird order, but I put it in this order so that people know what to look for. But realistically, I'm looking for a strong trend. So right here we have it all green. So I'm looking for one of those rejections, but off the bottom end. So when I see the trend meter is green down here, I'm looking for these lows, and I'm looking for basically it's like a variation, but it's I guess it's another variation. I just didn't want to call it variation 4, so there's too many variations to follow along with, so I had to change the name a bit. Um, but I think we have.
Yeah, and when I see that green on a 15 on the bottom, I try to bypass all the sediment, to be honest with you. That's my tendency.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When you go on the higher time frames, typically the trend meter and the pivots make. I mean, they're a lot more useful than the sentiment, because the sentiment's indicating, or the fundamentals are indicating what it is moving, short term. But if you're going on 15-minute candles, like each couple candles is going to be a whole day, so that can easily shift by tomorrow or the day after. So that's why I typically don't use that as much for these higher time frames, or it's not as important as it would be for scalping.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if right in there somewhere where you're looking,
Hmm.
over here where it says LL, there's a bunch of these red ones right here,
Yeah.
right there somewhere, over one to the right. I'm wondering if that's your where it broke through, but is that the LL, right? The next LL,
This right
to
here,
the right,
right? This one right here.
one more to the right. LL right there. That's a low and nothing broke through it after that, I can see. Is that what we're looking for or no?
Yes, that is what we're looking for, but I'm looking for a wick rejection. So there's actually one right here. So you're actually
Oh,
right close to this one right next to it. So thanks for pointing that out. So we have an actual example right here. Go forward a little bit to get that.
I was just looking for it not to go through it again, but we're taking the trade before that, so we wouldn't know what happened. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're spot on with this right here. So here's actually a perfect example. So for the first requirement, you want to identify an unbroken K2 high low. So you can ignore this candle because this would be your entry candle. So we're going to say anything before this. So as you can see before this, there's no candles that broke this low right here, right?
Right.
So that's going to be requirement number one. This one doesn't matter because this is going to be our entry candle. It'll make sense as we move forward with the requirements, because this is going to fit under one of the requirements here. I might have to reorganize the order just to avoid confusion, but I think right now this is just the rough draft of the strategy. So for one, we confirmed the low here. It hasn't broken before this candle, and that's going to be the first requirement. The second requirement, you want to identify a wick rejection. So this is what I was just talking about.
Yep.
For the second requirement, you want to identify a wick rejection off of that low. So I might have to change the requirements here, but it says identify a wick rejection off K2 high low in the direction of the trend. So price is coming down. It has a rejection off this low, and it's pushing back up in the direction of the trend, which is bullish. So first requirement, we confirm the low. Second requirement, we confirm a wick rejection off that low. Third requirement, confirm trend using K2 trend meter with chart settings. You can see down here it's green, so this is going to be a bullish trend. For the fourth requirement, you want to confirm a pending momentum in the direction, or a pending momentum signal in the direction of the trend. So right here we have a sell signal. The next pending signal is going to be a buy. So we have all those requirements met. As soon as this candle closes, you'll enter a long position right there. You set your TP stop loss to 500 pips. And then at this point, you'll just let it run. So you let it run, retraces down a little bit, pushes up, goes sideways, and then it hits your TP.
Yeah. So this is one I don't think I have the requirements on. If you want me to help back test that, maybe you could shoot me those over.
Yeah.
I've got them printed here, but I don't think I've got those.
Yeah, I'll put these.
I can back test that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send these requirements over to you.
Yeah, I think that's, I've got a good sheet with all the rest of them, and I try to use them, and I'm highlighting everything. But yes, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I sent them over through Telegram, and this would be like a fun thing for you to just backtest because I personally like backtesting because I like seeing the results because it kind of gets you excited when you do it live, right? You already understand, you know how it's moving, so that when you actually do apply it, you know, there's no surprise. You're like, oh crap, it actually hit. Like, oh, it's been hitting, so I know it's gonna hit again. So this is one example right here. I think there's another one that happened recently too. Let me see. Yeah, there's actually another one that's like literally right there. Right
Yeah,
there.
one right there. Yeah.
One right there too.
Before
So
that, yeah. Before, if you take those candles to the right off, it is. Yeah, just a little bit confusing with those.
there's
That one
actually a couple.
over.
Yeah, this one right here too, actually. So there's going to be some days where you'll have a lot of these come back to back.
Now,
So
I'm not quite sure why that one's got the green on the bottom and the others have the red, though. Could you maybe address that?
sure. For which one are you talking about?
The
The
one you just pointed to is green, and these ones we're just working with were red. And
oh
I
yeah,
think I know, but I want to ask you your intake, your thought on that.
yeah. So the reason it's red on the bottom, and the color doesn't really matter. It's just red. It's because it's a lower low. For these right here, there are higher lows. So
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
yeah,
just a different. It's just a. It came down, but it just hit a higher low. There's a low somewhere lower. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So when
and
I
right
first
here. Yeah, over.
yeah, and these two right here too. If you go to the lower highs, you'll see the higher highs are green and the lower highs are red.
Yeah. So if you're in a really strong buy trend, there's going to be just green all the way up.
Exactly. Yeah. So um, you'll see like this over here where it's just like green, 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 green. Price is probably gonna keep pushing up. If it's red, 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 it's probably gonna keep dropping down. This is something that I was going to tie in for another strategy as well. Like whenever I create these indicators, they're meant for a specific strategy or for an extra confluence for a strategy. And they're basically like training wheels. They kind of help you see these patterns. And I'm surprised that you saw it because nobody's ever seen that before either. You can see here when it's red, 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 it is typically in a pretty solid downtrend right there.
Yeah. So I've traded now for several years, and I had a group come to me that has some money, and they said, "Look, we want a trader that we can really work with," and I've worked with them in some other areas. And they go, "Hey, we really trust you. We want you to learn some stuff." And I looked around with probably 4 or 5 other signal providers, and I landed with you. Somehow, I don't even know how I got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I could probably go back and research that too, but I don't know how I got to K2. But I started watching your YouTubes, and I just started talking to these guys, and I said, "Well, if we're going to really do this thing, I think this is our deal." And so I'm just doing it, man.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, no,
just
definitely. Yeah,
I'm just gonna once I get good enough, they'll throw some money in there, maybe a little bit, and I mean, maybe several hundred thousand, or more, maybe millions, but it just takes time, man. It's years, They're not
yeah,
comfortable yet, and I'm not either. But I'm doing the challenges just to show them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is just it's a vehicle for you. That's what I use FTMO as well. It's like it's a vehicle for me as well. Um, I feel like when I trade with FTMO, it kind of forces me to stay in the proper mindset because you have those daily loss requirements. There's gonna be some days where you're just like you really don't care and you're gonna over risk and over leverage more than you have. And at least with FTMO, it's like they'll just cut you off. If you're trading your own personal account, there's like no one really there to cut you off. So that's why I'm using it as a vehicle because it's also I use it as I guess like a business write-off as well because you're
Yeah,
you're basically using the challenges. It's a business vehicle for you as well if you're using that to produce profits. And I just feel like it's just a safer route. I feel, especially if you're not at that level where you can trade your own 200,000, which I could
yeah,
probably
yeah.
do, but I even at this point I've been trading for so long and I'm consistent. I still don't trust that I'll be able to be consistent like that uh, for a
Yeah.
long extended period of time.
Yeah. So you drew a momentum or a down a trend here, and you were
Yeah.
going to tell me something. I might have cut you off. I'm sorry if I did.
Oh
I
no, no,
didn't.
you're fine. Yeah, no, you're fine. So like
You
basically,
were saying that I recognized it. Yeah.
yeah. So like the thing that you recognize is when you see a lot of these red ones here, lower low, lower high, etc., it typically will indicate that price is going to continue dropping lower. Same with the opposite. If you have it where it's green, green, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher low, it's going to be the same thing. And this is something that I was trying to put together for another strategy. I mean, this could be used as another confluence. I could probably introduce to people. They're like training wheels, basically. Like, if you've been trading for a while, you don't really need these high lows, but it does make a big difference. Because, like, for example, yeah, obviously you can see prices coming down, but when you have the high lows on there, it kind of illustrates it for you so you can see it a lot better.
Yeah, no, I use them a lot and mostly drawing that liquidity and stuff. So I took that one liquidity push you were in today when you kind of got quiet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
took that liquidity push, and my heavens, dude, that thing kept going for like, it felt like a half hour down. I got out early, like with like 200 pips or something.
Yeah.
But that thing just dropped and dropped, and I'm having to drop for like the rest of the day. It felt like until
Oh, yeah. And yeah, until we got off the live session at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was a nice drop. I was the thing with me when I trade live is it's kind of difficult for me to manually operate the trades and adjust them and stuff like that, because I have a bunch of people asking questions, plus I'm looking for trades and etc. But typically, if I was trading by myself, I would probably set no profit target and I would trail it down, usually. But then again, that's where the greed comes in. So I'm pretty satisfied with what I'm doing because I have multiple accounts. So I just it just adds on from there, even if I make.
You know how you use the DOM?
Yes.
I use a program called Trades on Chart, and it puts a trailer in automatically.
Oh, what was that? Sorry, my boing went off.
It puts a trailer in automatically. It's a DOM that puts in a trailer. You have to buy it. It's like $15 or something. I used it with another strategy, but it puts a trailer in automatically. So what I do is I put my take profit at like 200 pips, and my break even. I put my trailer in there, or I say 500 pips. Today I had it at 500 pips and 100 pip trailer. And you get into profit, it'll pull that 100 pip, right? And the worst you can do is break even. And then if it just keeps going, I just kill it early. So every one of the trades I had today, none of them had a green strip on it. I killed them right before because they were flipping around and hitting my trailer. So that's the problem with using trailing stops. But I like them because at least I know there's something there for me in the end of the trade.
Yeah. No, and trading in a market like this, that's actually a smarter thing to do, because you can be really close to your profit target, and then it'll get, sometimes the broker will mess with you and they'll spread that. They'll increase the spread like an extra 10, 20 pips, and you'll see it past your TP, and then it won't hit it, and then you're like, what the heck happened? You realize that the spread got you by that little of an amount. But since you have that trailing stop, you either pull out a break even or like a quick 100 pips or so.
Yeah, and then sometimes it actually just shows a zero or like a negative like $14. But when you're trading like 100 lot, that's nothing, man. You could lose your freaking shirt if it flipped around,
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I've been trading a 10 lot, but I had an MFF and I was doing 100 on it. And I started getting a lot of problem with MFF. And so I've kind of put on hold for right now.
Yeah, this week too, I'm sure you saw during the live. I don't know what happened like 2 days ago. I had a loss. It was weird. I had like 1,000 profit on my FTMO, and then I had 1,000 loss on my MFF, which didn't make any sense to me. And it was weird because one MFF was like a negative 1,000. The other one was like negative 100. And the other one was a positive 200 or whatnot. I think they were just having issues with the volatility, being able to execute at the proper time. And it happens, whenever the market's super volatile, there's going to be slippage, but it doesn't typically happen very often. I'm glad it kind of bounced back to where it was supposed to be, and it didn't have issues today. But that's why I stick with FTMO. I think FTMO is always going to be the gold standard as of now. But eventually, hopefully, MFF is step it up. I mean, they're doing okay. It's just you're going to have some times where they kind of screw up, and there's not really much you can do. You can complain to them. I've complained to them a lot of times, and they don't really care because they have so many other clients to work with. So it's not necessarily like they value you as much as you want them to.
Yeah, and I do like MFF quite a bit, but I don't like what's happened lately. So I'm just FTMO right now. I mean, yeah. I'm just holding the MFF one, but I'll get back into it in a few days probably. But yeah, with the volatility, it hasn't been good. And I saw them increase the spread on me one day, and it's really hard to tell if they're actually doing it or not, because we're watching two different charts. We're watching TradingView and then we're watching theirs. And TradingView was certainly, here, and I just seen it, just I've got the two lines, and it just opened up, and I was just like, I know that that's not changing on. It doesn't look like that's moving on TradingView, but so the price didn't move, but the spread did. So I think I got hit, but it happens. Like you say, you just take what you can get, man.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't really I prefer not to get on bad terms with these funding companies, because I feel like we're basically milking them for what they're worth, honestly. If you're consistent with it.
I completely agree, and I haven't really complained about that, but I saw it do it. But I haven't seen it too much with FTMO, but I have seen a little, but not near. It's probably not even really them, actually. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I would love to go back to MFF and really do a 300,000 and really do it, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely. What was that indicator you were talking about? The charts on.
Oh yeah, let me find. Yeah, it's called. Let me pull it up here and give you the right name. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll throw it in the chat. Yeah. No, use it. It's really good. It has like 20 options. Watch like the 5-minute. I think it's 7-minute video, and he talks about how to put a trailer in. It also has a break even feature where you can just set it. I haven't had luck with that at all.
Yeah, it's probably best to just use what you're using, because it sounds like really lucrative. Because the thing is, if I could do that and set my TB, because typically it does push past the 100 pips, it'll go past it.
So it's Trader on Chart, www.traderonchart.com, and he has like 8 or so different things, but this is called the TLC, or it's just Trader on Chart. It's the one that's let me pull that up for you. Hold on one second. I'm glad you're on board that I'm using it. I was like thinking, I wonder if this is even something I should be messing with. And then I tried it today. Holy flip, dude, I came out really, really good on some of those back pulls. I got out even or something,
Oh, nice.
Trader on Chart. Trader on Chart. So the program is yeah, it's called Trader on Chart. It's a position size calculator as well. So if you just want to put in a percent, so at the top it's got like a fixed lot. It looks just like the DOM. Okay.
Okay.
But it's yeah, you can see it maybe.
Yeah, I can see the website. It looks like the DOM. There's just more options on it.
Yeah. So the top one, I've got it set to fixed lot right now, but you can put a percentage lot. So if somebody says, I just want a 0.5% of trade, just put 0.5 in there. It's got stop loss, take profit. But where it gets interesting is down here where it's break even, and this take stop loss here, or trailing stop. I mean.
Oh, I see it.
The TS. TS is stop up. So I had it at 5,000 for FTMO, right? 5,000, 50 pips, right? 5,000, which is that's how they run. I think FTMO. Yeah, FTMO runs at 5,000. Yeah. So 5,000 is 50 pips. 5,000, whatever that is. But I don't even know. What do you call that when it's 5,000 and it's 50?
I think well, typically for FTMO they add it's supposed to be like a .0, so they add another 0 to it. So typically if you want to do 500, it would be 5,000 just without the and then if you do points, it would be the opposite. It would be 50.
Yeah, so I have it at 5,000 stop loss, 5,000 take profit, and 1,000 trailing stop.
Okay, so it follows it by 100 pips when it moves up.
If it even gets profitable by 100 pips, you're coming out even or better. And that thing hit every I think all but like 3 times. So like I'm manually closing it because what it was doing, because there was a stop in there, but it was so volatile I didn't dare trade without it today. But I've used this before, and today was the first time I tried it with your system. But man, if you get that first little pop off of the V or the V1 or the whatever, you get that first little move off of the momentum signal or something, and you're 100 pips, I mean, dude, that thing can move for the rest of the day. I mean, that thing can. So you have a chance to move so if it starts moving past your 100, right?
Yeah.
Move your take profit out of the way and let that thing just trail it for like hours. You can just literally get on your mouse and just get on your take profit line and just start pulling that thing down, because you know you're out at 100 pips profit behind where it's at. So say it goes 400 and you move it and you just pull your take profit out of the way, you're at 300 profit. And if it goes to 900 pips, or one day we were on here and I watched it, in one candle it went like even like 1,000 pips. I think it was 1,000 pips or some crazy freaking number. It was some daily entry or something. And that thing went in one. If I would have had that and got that take profit out of the way, I could have trailed that thing for forever, honestly. I mean, I could have like made 50 grand probably in that move. It's just, you got to be really fast on that take profit, because it can come down there and take you out too. But I just get that profit in. I just get that 100 pips in profit, and then at least I'm breaking even,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I noticed that too with a lot of the variations. There's going to be some variations where they'll just keep going. So if you do a trailing stop, like you mentioned, it'll pass that 100 pips. And at that point, you're going to be at break even automatically. And then from there, it can just keep dumping and dumping and dumping. You'll multiply your profit, times 5, times 10, times etc., until it finally swings back and stops you out with like a massive profit.
Yeah. And with 500 or 50 pips with the 5,000 in FTMO, you have time to jump on your take profit and move it out of the way too. You're in profit. I mean, like today I had one that went $900. I had a 5 lot in, not a 10 lot. I had a 5 lot, and it went $900 in profit. And I just got in there and got my, I got my take profit out of the way because it was about ready to hit it. And that thing went down, and I got $2,360 instead of, like 1,000, right? Because it would have hit, or no, or I guess I had a 10 lot in at the time. But anyway, it was something similar to that. But yeah, you just got to get on that line and get out of the way. But you're trading to hit the line. But when you're already got the trailing stop in there, it's like, well, geez, man, I'm only 100 pips back. Worst I'm going to do is 400, right? So
exactly, you basically doubled up on your profit.
Yeah, and I'm fine giving up 100 pips for that security. And I did that all day today, because when the market's super volatile, I used to do this. And you kept saying today something like, man, dude, this market's so flipping crazy and this thing's up and down. All the chats like going nuts, like how crazy it was. I said, I'm going to try that thing. I purchased that thing a while ago. So I tried it and it worked, man.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool tool. I've seen other tools similar to this. I'll probably try this out. I'll run this by like the admins. I think one of the admins has something similar to this, but it's free, I believe. I know that
Yeah. And if you know something free or different, I'll change or whatever. I just have a monthly subscription with these guys.
Yeah.
And I just upped it. I just I just paid for it this morning, right before open.
Yeah.
Because like I think yesterday and the day before too, the market was so crazy. I couldn't get out fast enough. I would hit my freaking kill button, and the freaking thing would move for, it felt like ever before it would actually get me out, and I kept losing because of that.
Oh wow.
Like I was trying to kill it, and it was just moving so fast. I'm trying to do it manually I could see it flip around, and it's like, oh man, I got to get this done. And so I just use this tool now. But until, I mean, I'm just looking for better things. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And the more efficient that you can trade, like the better, especially during these types of conditions. Typically the summer is pretty slow. So I'm a little bit surprised that it's moving pretty crazy like it did today. But again, we are going through a recession, and there's a lot of this inflation news coming out. So that's why it's really pushing price around. Typically during summer though, and I'm sure you've seen it over the years, it's usually pretty slow. It's not moving like this crazy. Like that's kind of why I kind of shifted towards more scalping strategies, because we are entering the summer. So I do see that, it's going to be a lot easier to take these scalps versus taking these higher time frame trades. But this one right here on the 15-minute, if you want to play with that, I think this would be a good thing to
maybe. I'm definitely going to back test it with you, and every week I'll chat you over, and we'll talk about if it's working. If it is, we'll maybe I'll start incorporating it into like the FTMO and just take some small lots, and then if I start winning, I'll just increase the lot and go for it, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, and if you have any other questions about it, just feel free to give me a ring, and we can discuss it, because I'm always up for making more profits. Like if there's anything I can find that's going to make us make more profits, I'm all for it. Like with trading, like I really do enjoy it. It's not like I'm not here for the money. I feel like this is a game. The money is just as an addition to it.
Unfortunately, we all got to play the money game, but we might as well play it this way if we can. That's what I've decided.
Oh yeah, I know. And becoming a full-time trader, this has really like changed my the way I live my life too. Because I really just I trade with you guys early in the morning. That's about it. I was trading Asia for a bit, but now I kind of just stopped as well. I think I started to overtrade a little bit, and I kind of got to a point where I felt I might start losing trades if I keep trading this way. So
I totally agree. I did a lot of Asia too, like last week,
uh,
and I didn't do very well with it actually. So
yeah, Asia is weird, especially if you're trading US 30 because the market's technically not open. So you don't really get that institutional push that we're looking for these, variations and whatnot.
yeah, totally. So you live down in California on you live near the Fashion Island Mall,
That is
kind of.
correct. Yeah, I live near the
So
airport, John Wayne.
so oh my goodness. So my business partner, with the guy I was telling you about that wanted me to get into trading, one of them
Oh, cool.
lives kind of by that mall towards Laguna. It's probably, I don't know, he's on the road. He's on the Pacific. His backyard is on the Pacific coast.
Oh,
And it
is it down the it's like a scenic route, right? The scenic freeway. It might be San Clemente. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
it's the one, if you were on it, you would hit the Balboa Island, I think it is.
Yeah.
We go out there to eat all the time. It's about a half a mile one direction or the other, where there's houses from Balboa Island on that main road that you have to get on to get into Balboa and Fashion Island Mall.
Oh yeah, I think it's like in Lido, right? Lido Island.
Yeah,
Yeah, around that area. Yeah, nice area.
yeah. So I fly into John Wayne and I meet him. I just mentioned that to you. Maybe we'll hit dinner or something one of these times. It sounds like you're kind of up for some of that kind of. Maybe sometimes
Yeah,
some
yeah,
of
no,
the,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not at 6 a.m., I'm good because we're trading at 6. But other than that, I'm pretty much free. I have a pretty open schedule. This is all I do. Like I just trade in the morning with you guys and have these mentoring sessions whenever people schedule them. But other than that, I've got a pretty open schedule for the most part.
Yeah, so I'll be coming down there, not right away, but over the next few months again. And when I do, I would just love to sit with you for a minute, pick your brain about something other than trading or something. You got good psychology too. That's what I like. Like no one's ever, like I've been on these morning, meetings, and I don't want to toot your horn too much that you have a problem today, dealing with yourself but I don't want to blow your head up here, but the psychology of this is really something that I don't know how, but you've gotten into my head on it. And you said one day something that completely changed me. You said, "Look, I've never seen a person go broke taking profit, even if it's just a little bit. You just don't see them going broke, right? If they take a little profit. So that's why I'm doing those trailing stops. And I mean, you said that probably 4 or 5 days, I don't know, 6 days ago or something. And man, I remember that. I've never heard that before ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why with me sometimes like typically I'm like even lately I haven't been taking the full moves of the trades because I'm not too comfortable with the market. And
Yeah.
people always criticize me on that like I'm taking 1,000 instead of going for the full move and I'm like okay but I haven't had any losses, right? And I look at their accounts and I'm like oh well you guys have blown a couple accounts because you haven't been taking profit. So like it really is true, like it's something that I've learned along the way as well, that sometimes greed will get the best of you, and if you're able to just take profit here and there, especially during crazy market conditions, it's a lot more beneficial than it sounds, because a lot of people think you're cutting yourself short, but realistically I'm stacking these profits day after day and not having to worry about the stress coming with these losses or any possible losses that might be uh, you know right around the corner.
Yeah, totally. I that's helped me a lot. That psychology, talking about that some in the mornings, and then just what we just talked about. It's very good. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Um, and I know your signals are reasonably priced. Everything great. I think for the value too, it's really, really nice. I mean, it's more successful, product actually. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. People always tell me to raise prices, but realistically, I do so well with trading where I don't really need to. This is just like extra, and it's like I really want to help people. So I'm probably gonna leave prices as they are. I'm not really looking to make a profit, like too much of a profit off this. It's really just me giving back, and because I have a lot to thank trading for. Because if I didn't get good at this, and if I didn't have the community to really be on me to get better every day, I wouldn't be at this level. So every day is a
yeah,
new
I
day.
totally,
It's like every day is a
I
new day, and
totally
you
agree.
all getting better.
Yeah, so on my wall, I've got a picture of that Porsche, the same one that you're trying to get. And I'm like,
Oh, the
when you
Taycan.
said that,
Yeah.
yeah, when you said that day, I was like, man, dude, this guy and me, I mean, we think so much alike. I wanted one of those for I mean, ever really. And
Yeah.
I mean, since they haven't been out that long, really. The
Yeah.
electric version, you're talking electric, right?
Yeah, yeah, the electric. I think the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
model was like 2020, so it's been out for maybe about 2 years now.
Yeah, I saw one. I live near Park City, Utah, and I saw one going up there, and it was, I had to follow the person. They stopped and got gas. I talked to them about it for like half hour, and they were just smoking it, dude. That thing was unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture of the one that I'm getting. I'm actually waiting for it because they're on recall right now, so they're not able to sell them. I could buy them from a private dealer, but I want to get it from Porsche, so it's like certified
Yeah,
done. Uh, but yeah, let me see if I can find a picture of the one that or I could actually just pull up the one here. I have the link for it. So
yeah,
hopefully,
man. And if
oh,
if you if you got to go too, if you got another session, I'm fine. I'm good for another few minutes here, and then I should have got on a little earlier, but I was working on that warranty thing, and I saw your message come in. I'm like, this is only going to take a couple minutes, and then the work was like $3,000, and I have a car shield, and they ended up covering it. So
oh, nice, nice. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I have another meeting at 2:30, but it's fine. I'll just show you the car real quick and we can move along.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is
I didn't know. I just didn't want to hold you up, man. No,
yeah,
that's it. Yep.
yeah, this is the
So
one. It's a spec that I want. It's white. It has like the white down here as well. It's not all black. It's the turbo version. So it's pretty nice. If you see it in person, it looks a lot wider than it does in pictures. It's pretty nice. And the inside, the red interior, I think that's a real big game changer because I would get one with the black interior, but once I saw the red interior, it it's something else. It's
I
different.
would do the red interior.
Yeah, it's something different. You know, I've had my Tesla for a couple years now, and it's just I feel like I see so many Teslas on the road where I don't really want it anymore.
Yeah, no, that's that right there. So this guy told me that when you get on the throttle on that thing, and I've watched a few videos, you can hit the point with like a Tesla where it's not as relentless on the top end, he said.
Yeah, it
He
stops
said that
pushing.
thing
Yeah,
will actually like a rocket ship after a while. I didn't get to
yeah.
drive it, but
Yeah. The Taycan actually has two gears, surprisingly for an electric car. So like once you get to that second gear, it starts pushing even harder. For the Tesla, I've floored it a couple times. I have a Model X, and I do notice it starts to let off once you get a little too high on the top speed. Um,
yeah, it's just Porsche's commitment to speed, man. That's what it
yeah,
is.
it drives just like a 911. So it's a real race car with an electric engine, and I think with the way that oil is going now, gas prices and stuff, I prefer to just stick to electric. I would want a second car, but I think for right now, I'm going to stick with something electric time
I
being.
agree. Well, in California too, I was down there, what, 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Uh, and I never seen anything under $6. I'm in Utah. We're at 5.29 today, roughly average price.
Wow. Yeah,
I
it's
think
low.
down there you're over six still.
Yeah, in LA, it's up to like 7, almost $8 now. Over here in
Yeah,
Orange County, it's still around 6 as well. It's crazy. And I don't think it's going to come any lower. Like, it's just going to stay up there. This is the norm now. So,
yeah, it's going to stay that way for a while until they really figure out we're in a recession, and then we'll see. Last time we had a recession, it went half.
yeah.
The oil price did. The gas price didn't fall for. You remember, it took a long time for the gas price to finally come down, but it finally did. But I was talking to a guy today, just real quick. I know you got to go, and he was telling me that it's probably gonna it's probably on, if you put it on a chart of the previous 2008 recession, it's a mirror image of it. So
Oh, I know. Yeah.
this point in when they started talking that we might be in a recession in '08, oil had retraced 17%, and we've retraced 20%. So that's almost a mirror image of what we saw.
Yeah.
But
Same thing.
you want to bet something on that? I don't know. I'd rather trade this and just be cool.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. No, same
he's
here.
buying a bunch of shorts on oil and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because that could easily go the opposite way at any given moment. So I would not be risking anything on any long-term moves right now.
I would never do oil,
Yeah.
especially with Biden in office. I don't
Oh
necessarily
yeah.
think that's
Yeah. I
good
don't
for
know
me.
if you're around when like oil dropped to like negative.
I
That
was.
it was like last year, I think, or 2 years ago. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, we go from negative to all-time high, and then now it's slacked off back a little, but not a lot. And I think that's a discussion. I was in another group that we traded oil, so I have a lot of people that really like oil.
Yeah.
Problem with oil is it doesn't move quite like this asset, the US 30. And it's like, I don't ever understand. Like when Trump was in office, you could get these days where, I mean, this volatility we're seeing here, you get those kind of days and you could never figure out why it was doing it. It was like, it was just the craziest. They just blow accounts, those guys. That's all they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And during COVID, it was crazy. Like prices just continue shooting up for no reason at all. And it would just keep going.
Yeah, I think we're going to get this thing, into recession over the next half of next year. And then I think we're going to see a major turnaround again because I just see things coming back together, but probably not that soon. That's a problem, really. But
Yeah.
unless they really screw something up.
Yeah. I mean, who knows with the elections coming up, all the midterms, I guess, and then elections coming up in a while. We'll
Yeah,
see.
the
Like,
midterms are going to be big, man.
yeah,
They're
they
going to
are,
be huge.
especially with everything going on in the world. It's crazy.
Well, I love the car. I'm glad I can buy one of your lug nuts for you with my little contribution to your system here.
Yeah, you'll get yours one of these days. Eventually, hopefully.
Well, I'm not far off. I have a little potential. It's just I got to get a system and get more consistent. And that's everybody. I think, really,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Once you take off, you take off. That's really what it is. So, once you get your footing on right and you continue for like, you find your consistency for a month or two, you're gonna take off. Because I've seen a lot of people where they've been flatlined and they just exploded from there. So I'm hoping that'll happen to you sometime soon.
Well, thank you for all your support and time and energy. And man, this is free. This is the best. Everyone should take advantage of this, honestly. But I overwhelm you. But
Yeah,
I
definitely.
really have enjoyed it. And I watch all the mentoring sessions sort of afterwards. And I've kind of made a commitment today after this that I need to actually be on them. It's worth the time, man.
Yeah, and hopefully this helped you a lot because I try to clear up as much confusion. I think this is the best way to do it. Just having this one-on-one discussion with you to help clear up anything that you're confused with.
Well, hopefully you got the portion I get there, and we'll chat or something. But until we meet again, okay?
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, Ross. So have a great weekend. Have a safe and fun 4th of July weekend. And I'll probably see you back here on Tuesday when market reopens.
I will be here on Tuesday, and thank you so much again. And have a safe one yourself, and enjoy that beautiful California. I'm trying to get down there again to do something fun. I just work when I go there lately. So
Oh man, yeah, it's hot out here. It's getting hot.
yeah, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, Ross. I'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend.